Welcome to this installment of the Straight Edge Game Room. Today we're looking at some freeware by Brazilian developer Cybergamba. This is a free downloadable arcade-style fighting game unofficially based on the Mexican sitcom El Chavo del Ocho. I come from a Chicano family and grew up in a border town where most of the people were Hispanic, so I grew up with the flavors of both American and Mexican pop culture. El Chavo del Ocho is a show that I remember very fondly from childhood, and I still enjoy it to this day. Before it spun off into its own sitcom, El Chavo del Ocho started off as a sketch segment from a variety show called Chespirito. Fronted by Roberto Gomez Bolaños, Chespirito is a show that is similar in style to Hee Haw or Saturday Night Live. But rather than use crude humor or inappropriate innuendos, Chespirito entertained its audience with clean humor and slapstick comedy. It was entertaining for adults, but safe to watch around children. Even within the challenge of abstaining from blue comedy, the show was a massive success and it's remembered fondly by generations of Latin Americans. Chespirito in its breakout act, El Chavo del Ocho, got a Portuguese dub, which garnered them a significant fan base in Brazil. And like anything that's popular, it gets made into a video game, even if the use of the intellectual property is unlicensed. Which is what we're looking at here, Street Chavo, or as it's known in Brazil, Street Chaves, or Chaves, I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Now before the version we're looking at today, there was an edition of this game that came out prior, which had fewer characters. Now this version has a slightly larger roster, and you have the option to change it into Spanish. A simple way to describe this game is that you have some very crude sprites of the characters from the show, which play as counterfeits of characters from both Street Fighter and Fatal Fury. In other words, you're playing as characters from the show, but we're given the movesets of Fatal Fury and Street Fighter. Now, being a slapstick comedy, there were some punches, there were some kicks, and there were some slaps in the show, but not to the degree of fantasy martial art bouts. But you can tell this game is just a gag and a love letter to the El Chavo del Ocho show. Not a classic by any means, but you're getting it for free, so you really can't nitpick it too harshly. The original version of this game's soundtrack was some very lo-fi stock music from the show, but in this updated version, I have no idea what that noise is in the background. This horrible cacophony doesn't even sound musical, just listen. That noise is a crime against the Geneva Convention. The good thing about this game is that it's fairly easy to change or modify some of the assets. So I went ahead and completely changed the soundtrack. I even changed the sprite of the guy who throws tortas into the fight. Yeah, it looks terrible, but that was the best I could do. If you haven't noticed, right now I'm playing as the second player. There's a reason for that. If you want to play as player 1, you're stuck with the keyboard. Now I tried getting around this with X-Patter, but still it would not let me use a controller as first player. Player 1 is assigned indefinitely to the keyboard, so if you want to use a gamepad, you're gonna have to play as player 2. If there's a way around this limitation, I haven't figured it out. Now the stages are kinda ugly and a little blurry, but they are pretty faithful interpretations of the show's different sets. The background characters are not animated very fluently, and they're a little bit disproportioned, but overall, they did a pretty decent job. Despite this game's low-fidelity photocopy graphics, I'm a little bit forgiving towards all of that because you can tell they were working within some technical limitations. And if you know anything about El Chavo del Ocho, you could tell that whoever made this game were actual fans of the show. Not a great game, but hey, it's free and anybody with a computer and internet connection can download it. Another thing to note about this piece of freeware is that it's over 20 years old, so it might not run all that great on a modern computer. What I did was right click on it and selected troubleshoot compatibility, and it ran just fine after that. Well, that about does it for this installment of the Straight Edge Game Room. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, reference my video catalog for past episodes, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.